Okay. All right, everybody, welcome back to another special edition of the FwooshCast, which is kind of our first post SDCC of 2021 of the year. And I am very thrilled to be joined again by Mr. Randy Falk of NECA Toys. Randy, it's been a minute. Thanks for coming back and chatting with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me. It has been a while. We've just, jamming away here, working
Busy, I'm
on
sure.
a very full slate this year, and navigating the stuff that I'm sure you hear everyone talking about in this post-COVID world, shipping disasters and
Yeah.
delays at the ports and price increases everywhere from steel for tooling to paper for packaging, labor. Pretty much anything you can think of. It costs more than it did 5 minutes ago.
So some challenges that are needing some creative solutions at this point, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been easy, but it never was. And I guess, it doesn't get easier, but it's still a hell of a lot of fun. We just have to get more creative and smarter about the way we do things. And luckily, we have some really strong lines that collectors are supporting and are all in on, which help keep things rolling, and the momentum keeps going. And some great programs out there. Everyone always thinks the Turtles first, but the horror stuff is always big. It's a bread and butter evergreen that we've been doing for years, so that of course continues. And then we've seen some good expansion elsewhere. What we did with Defenders of the Earth, which I know is a Fwoosh personal favorite, sort of a sleep hit, but when those rolled out at the beginning of this year, they actually did very well. So it's allowed us to do a whole bunch of weird stuff I wanted to do from an exclusive standpoint this summer, and then a whole bunch more later this year and into next year. So.
Well, you guys did show off a large variety of things during your, live stream presentation. And I want to get into that stuff, but you mentioned exclusives. So I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit of that first, because the first set of exclusives went up for pre-order on the NECA store. And I got to give you, the virtual goat here, because, man, we can talk all day about how cool the exclusives are themselves, but the process to get them and the amount of time that they have been available has been absolutely awesome. So I want to put that out there.
Thank you. It's good to hear that. I know there were a few little hiccups when they went up between either sometimes people that are international or on the US side or vice versa. And there was an issue, I think, in the first, 10 or 15 minutes where international couldn't check out or something. But overall, technology gets in the way a little bit. We got over those speed bumps, and I did hear a lot of positive feedback. I actually took that day off because I'm shell shocked, pardon the Turtles pun, but from
I don't blame you.
Past Comic Cons, it's like PTSD, and I just didn't want to be around when the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
Of course, I was at the with my family trying to relax, and I couldn't help myself. I was still on the phone trying to log in and order as if I was, John Q. Public, just to see how it went and what hiccups there were. And of course was, firing back texts and emails to the office about the errors and things that I was seeing or hearing from the fans. So even when I try to separate myself from it, I don't do a good job. But thankfully it did go well, and people seem to be, no one's ever completely happy, but people seem to be happy by and large. We had a lot more product. We had a strict limit of 1 per on the Turtles. And if they missed the pre-order or couldn't get in or forgot, the Turtles, the News Channel 6 set will be at Target. I'm going to guess maybe end of September, beginning of October is my guess. I'm padding it, and I'm just, the shipping is a crapshoot right now. You just don't know. Some stuff comes in no problem. Other things don't. So it's hard to say. But the stuff is shipping from the factory and ready. It just depends how long it takes to get to the store.
Okay, so is that probably a likely estimate for orders that were placed via the NECA store too, for about the same time they'd be hitting?
I think so.
Okay.
And, I'd like to put some things in perspective just because people, love to complain and hell. When I buy something, I want it right away, too. We're used to the Amazon Prime world that we live in. But
Yeah.
the alternative was either we offer it now and let you guys know, or we hold it back and don't. And if I can cite a competitor or a company that I collect, Hasbro, has been telling us about their PulseCon exclusives for weeks, but you can't order any of it yet, and we don't know when you can order any of it. And that most likely probably won't be until they have it in a warehouse or a distribution center, because they're facing the very same things we are. So my guess there would probably be like September or October. And I know I want my Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba, but I think I'm going to have to wait a few more months. So it is what it is. I'm glad people were able to get in. And we also didn't want to drop everything at once, since some of the things are later. So we had News Channel 6, and we had the toy homages for Flash and Ming. And then we showed that we have the movie homage, Flash and Ming, and a tribute to the European Shredder.
Yeah.
And those will be a little bit later. So that way, this whole 2 weeks has been nuts for people. I mean, Galactus, every company dropping pre-orders and exclusive.
They're already teasing Rancor.
Yeah, I mean, so we tried to like stagger it. Not that we have anything that's in that price point, but we know there's a lot of people competing for the same dollar right now. So it's like, okay, it's a couple at a time kind of thing. So we have a few now. A few months from now, we're going to show a whole bunch more new stuff that we were holding back. And when we do that, we'll do some pre-orders on some more exclusives and more special items.
Awesome. I it's to that point. I'm kind of thankful for the staggered release with that. But to touch on the actual items themselves just a little bit, the Channel 6, the News Channel 6 set is pretty crazy. What made that the pick for the exclusive this year?
It's conversations that Trevor and I have, and I know you'll get more into this with him, but historically we always do some type of big 4-pack or multi-pack thing every year. And, characters maybe like Buren or Irma don't necessarily, they're not like flying off the pegs at traditional retail. Now, this is a collector focused line, so we know the collectors do want everything. And in the future, maybe a year, maybe more from now, if we find that a lot of people missed them and need them, we'll look at a way to get them out there. But for us, this was like the perfect scenario for an exclusive. You're getting a couple more obscure characters that aren't like action oriented per se. And so much of the show takes place in the newsroom and in the anchor desk kind of thing. And it was like, how fun would it be, especially for all the diorama builders, toy photographers, everything like that. In the same way we've done like street scene. Well, let's take it to the next level and have the cameras, have the lights, have the boom mic, and really, do it up. And then, the cardboard insert that goes behind the figures and that can come out and go behind the figures. So you really get a full scene. And we did something similar last year with the Turtles on Tour thing, where you kind of had a little stage and made it look like a live concert. So it was all that kind of stuff. Like, let's do something fun, a good theme, a variant on April that really doesn't make sense in the main line. The Catwoman of Channel 6, the brown skin, the tail, and all that. And it's a fun thing to do. And the other thing about exclusives is we want to make them cool enough that people want them, right? But you also want that balance that if someone misses it or doesn't have it, they don't feel like there's a huge void, in their collection, and that's the balance that exclusives always are. You don't want something that's so cool that if people can't get it, they get frustrated or quit the line, but you want to have that cool factor. And I think this definitely brings it. We've seen a great response, and we've got some loose sets in the studio that we've been messing with for a while. And it's a lot of fun having all the accessories with the figures. I mean, Buren and Irma are brand new. Vernon is a variation. April has a bunch of new stuff going on besides the redeco on the brown for the neck and the arms and stuff. She got new hands. She's got a new head, the tail, and tons of other accessories that are in there that I'm sure you've seen in the photos. The soup, the picture frames, the mutated turtles of Vernon and Buren. So it's just a fun set. Like, you look at it and smile, and that's kind of what it's all about. It's fun to put together.
Well, I kind of appreciate what's not there, and you guys are the first ones to ever do a burn without toilet paper stuck to his shoe. So I definitely appreciate
Well,
for sure.
if we bring him into the retail line, say in 23, maybe, because 22 is pretty full, maybe we'll add the toilet paper at that point.
But you mentioned April, and to me it makes perfect sense. But I know a lot of people have been asking, it's like, oh, why isn't she swappable with parts and things like that, right? And it makes sense to me because there are pieces that wouldn't be able to be swappable for something like this.
I mean,
right?
we'd have to retool the whole torso to have like the clavicle. Like you would need the entire V of the neckline replaceable. Then you're going to run into an issue of like when someone goes to pull off the head or something, and the whole clavicle is going to come out with it. And then you have a tail, and you take the tail out. She's got a hole in her rear end, which is less than ideal and kind of hurts the aesthetics. And I hate to think what people might do in that scenario. So it's just better off leaving. That being said, we know people missed April, or people want more expressions for April, or some people were vocal about the size of the head for our initial April. So you can see where it's going. Of course, we are going to bring April back into the line at some point, most likely in the Ultimate format. So it'll be an improved April O'Neil with a bunch of new accessories and all new heads. Maybe early next year. We have a lot of stuff still in the pipeline, and I don't think it'll happen this year. The Werecat, Catwoman of Channel 6 is the way to get her now. But I think you'll see April return because we know people need her, and she's every bit as important as the Turtles and Splinter. But just got to wait a little bit longer. But we've heard your pleas. But you know, we want the Pizza Monsters out there. We want Chrome Dome out there. We want a few more that I can't tell you yet that are coming. So you just hang on. We'll get her.
Well, awesome. Well, I knew I was going to be a mark for the turtle set, obviously. But I got to tell you, I was like so happy and so surprised at the Flash Gordon variants that you guys did, because if I'm thinking to it, reruns of that cartoon was really my introduction to the character. So seeing them in this deco was really, really exciting.
Yeah, for us too, man. I grew up with those, like the Flash, Ming, Thun, all of them, Lizard Woman. I would play with them with my Star Wars 3 3/4 at the, you know, very similar in style. Or one was Kenner, one was Mattel, but like I remember getting those figures for Christmas in '79, right? So for me, there's a big nostalgia sweet spot there for them. Aside from having a loose set at one point years ago, I tracked down a carded Ming, which was the very same thing we used for inspiration in designing the packaging and stuff. That carded Ming is even in my office.
That's awesome.
And just making that old blister card is fun, and the sort of silver disco boots on Flash, like, it reminds me of, you know, Blue Snaggletooth from back in the day. So
yeah,
it's just fun, and it's the perfect thing for an exclusive, because the guys like us who know what that is, either they remember the Filmation cartoon or the Mattel toy line, and it's like, oh wow, like I haven't seen or thought about this in maybe 40 years.
Yeah,
and the perfect thing to, you know, do a limited edition exclusive with. Unfortunately, it wasn't at the con, but at least we're getting it into everyone's hands. I think that pre-order is still open, and those will be at Target fairly soon. I'm thinking by the end of August.
Cool.
But I love those. I love those two figures. When we did our live panel, I had them on the shelf behind me, even because I just, you know, they make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Well, that line, that vintage line in that cartoon, they had a lot of actually really cool character designs in there too. So it was fun seeing those guys on that card as well.
Totally. I mean, if this does well, again, we're a deep dive here, and it is a super niche thing. But if it does well, I'd certainly love to add a couple more to it, you know, to kind of thing. But we have to see what happens. But it's certainly on my radar. I love doing stuff like this, and having like bigger, more articulated versions of the stuff, you know, we grew up with. It's super cool.
Yeah. Well, that was really just the start of pieces for, I guess what I've always called it since the beginning is like your Defenders of the Earth line, but really it almost feels like it's gone past that to more of an overarching King Features kind of property now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we wanted to start with Defenders because that was around the 35th anniversary, and it was the same timing that we were starting to put together Back to the Future for its 35th, and we were like, well, what else was big or around that year? And that came up, and we, we're all fans. Myself, DeGeorge Djukovic, who sculpted all those figures. We really grew up loving that kind of stuff and felt like that audience is underserved, right? And no disrespect to anything Marvel or DC, they're great, but they're oversaturated, right? Everyone's doing figures in every scale, format, medium possible. But the guys that are like the Flash Gordon, Mandrake the Magician, that stuff's criminally ignored. So let's be the guys to bring it back and have some fun with it. And initially it was just, you're going to be a 5-figure Defenders line. Now that did really well, so it expanded to the exclusives we've discussed, and then an offshoot, which we are calling the Original Superheroes. And that line will be out, I think November is what we're looking at. And it's the classic versions of Flash, Ming, and Phantom from the comic strips and the comic books. It has a whole different line look and packaging look, which is really cool. Pays tribute to, really print and how they work. And even in the way the illustrations were done, the typesetting, the packaging, it's done to mimic
the pulp origins, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well,
and that's just, I think, the tip of the iceberg. We're finishing Defenders because Mandrake and Lothar are coming still this year.
Awesome.
I think we're going to add some more characters to Defenders next year.
Oh, cool.
We're sculpting some now, and we're doing more beyond that from the King Features library or universe that we'll talk about at a later time. But it's definitely expanding, and it all came out of like, let's see what happens with Defenders. And Defenders did well, certainly well enough. Grown a lot, which is really cool.
Cool. Well, it's cool to hear that, because I'm sure you know that people took note of a couple of names that you tossed out there, like Tarzan and Zorro, when you were talking about those too. So that's exciting stuff, because like them, like Flash and Ming and the Phantom, that's pretty underserved.
Totally. I think maybe there's some stuff in the 3 3/4 space once in a while, but there's certainly nothing in like the 6 or 7 inch modern figure format. So for us, it's really cool to be doing that. I definitely would love to add more characters to the roster, and doing the movie homage of Flash.
That's really creative, man.
They look so different, and it's like, man, this is cool because we don't have the movie, but this is a fun way, and it worked out just because it's an exclusive to do it. But I love that movie so much that now I'm like, man, maybe we could get the movie right point after this, because it's just the designs and the colors and costumes in that movie are just so bananas. Like Clytus and Baron, and who doesn't love Brian Blessed as
right?
Forget Boss Nass. Let's Voltaire. So hopefully we get there too. I'd love to keep going and just playing with that movie look on the buck of the the King Features sculpts. We did sculpt new parts and change some things just to make it fit that aesthetic more, but just like dipping our toe in there, it was like, man, I want to do the movie now really bad, because it's had some toys, but it's been a minute, and those had some pretty limited distribution. I know we could do a full line and do it, really do it justice. So maybe somewhere down the road.
Well, that's exciting, because these are classic characters that you said they need their due, and getting the first taste of that with Flash and Ming and the Phantom has been a lot of fun. So I can't wait to see what you guys have rolling with the heroes of the past.
Yeah, awesome.
And speaking of the past, we also have a little bit of Back to the Future that you guys got to show off, and I've got to say that I was very pleased because he was at the top of my list, but also somewhat relieved because I really like having the Marty and Doc pairing throughout the timeline. So getting to see the 85 Doc is really exciting for me.
Yeah, thank you. For us too. It was tough getting all those talent likenesses in place like 2 years ago when we were first putting this all together. Christopher Lloyd was definitely one of the tougher ones. And once that did happen, it was like, all right, we got to just start sculpting all these figures while he have his attention and while he's looking at things and while he likes what he sees. So it was cool to add that one. Like you said, we want to have in every scenario, as best we can, have something from Doc that complements Marty and vice versa. So you have those scenes and have, you know, the Twin Pines Mall and all that fun stuff. And accessory wise, try to pack in as much as we can and still maintain the price point. You know, he's got all sorts of gadgets there, the remote control, the clipboard, a pistol, some of the bigger stuff that's more cost intensive, like the plutonium case, Einstein. We're definitely looking at a creative way to get those out there, and thinking Back to the Future at this point deserves an accessory set. So hopefully we can put something like that together and add and enhance the existing figures, be it any of the Docs, Martys, or Biffs that are out there. So it's been really cool to to do that. Just last night, I actually watched the movies that made us, Back to the Future thing on Netflix. It just dropped because I still love the movie. You know, so 36 years later, and love that we were able to put this toy line together after all this time and continue to add to it. So that Doc, and then Griff, which everyone wanted. So the Griff Tannen hoverboard, and a foil, a villain for part 2 Marty to square off against on their hoverboards and the little flight stands and all that. So yeah, it's been really sweet to do that. I hope that interest remains strong, that we can do part 3 next year, and then wrap it all up in a neat little bow and be complete with the trilogy. But it's been a really fun line to work on.
Yeah, it's been, I was excited for it, but it was one of those that, it hit me kind of unexpectedly how excited and how fun the figures have turned out to be all together. And like you said, having the Doc and Marty and the foil for all of them all together, it just puts a nice cohesion to everything. So it's really exciting.
Well, thank you. And people like also should look at like all those fine details. Like so we can use the real skateboard and the real logo and the real trademark. We had to work with USA Today directly to reprint the newspaper, both for Doc to hold and for the packaging. There's a number of instances like that where we want to make it, as close as possible within, reason and legal and approval situations. But we do all that due diligence and track these guys down and try to get the rights to use the trademarks and logos and do everything exactly as you saw it on screen. So we've been fortunate enough to get a bunch of these people on board that say yes or think it's cool, or it just makes the collection more detailed and more
doing it correctly, right? I mean, that's how I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, and sometimes we have to do a parody or a look-alike kind of thing. But when we can do it, like on Turtles, we got Turtle Wax to let us do Turtle Wax and use their logos and stuff. And some of these phone calls or Zoom meetings are interesting to say the least, because they're so far removed from this, and they're like, wait a minute, a Turtle Wax bottle was in a Turtles movie 30 years ago, and you want to make it with a toy? Like, they don't. But when you get them up to speed and show them what you're doing, and they see how fun it is, a lot of times they're game, which is cool, because it just, like you said, makes it just makes it better, and it makes it more authentic, and the fans, I hope, appreciate all the extra steps that are taken for that authenticity and accuracy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like we could have at least one, maybe multiple conversations simply around the insanity of what it's like to get likenesses tied down and stuff like that, man. It sounds like a lot.
There definitely is. It's challenging. Sometimes that takes longer than anything else. But fortunately we have a pretty good track record, and have gotten, I don't know, I haven't kept score, but let's say 95% of what we shoot for, we get, which is pretty damn good.
Well, there are a couple of things that are tied to that, and I have to say, one of the things that I have been the most excited about as far as your new announcements is the Universal monsters license. And I know that's been kind of a tricky thing to get a handle around over the years too. But I haven't gotten Frank yet. I've got him on pre-order because I haven't sniffed him out at Walmart yet. But you guys showed, you know, Wolfman is up next after him, and then the Mummy, and the Mummy, for being almost like kind of a fleeting, you know, appearance. I mean, is he going to come with that sarcophagus and everything?
He is not going to come with the sarcophagus.
Okay.
Because it's bigger than the figure itself.
Yeah.
Some bandages, alternate hands, the chest with the scroll inside of it. We have started to build and fabricate a bunch of larger diorama or environmental type of pieces for two reasons. One, we're using them for photography just because it looks badass. We can make the movie scene and have all this stuff. And two, as long as the interest and support is there, in the same way that we've done accessory sets to support like Freddy and Jason and Pennywise, we're hoping to do the very same thing for each of the big Universal monsters. So just to give you an idea, sarcophagus makes perfect sense with the Mummy. A lab table would make sense with Frankenstein, a coffin if we were to do Dracula. So larger pieces, and then they'll have a few little other accoutrements and accessories with them, but basically one big set piece and like a handful of smaller accessories, and sort of make it like, this is probably pre-birth for most of our audience, but like the old school like Aurora model kits and stuff like that from the 60s had all that great like crazy laboratory and torture chamber and all that. So we're thinking, wouldn't it be awesome to have like a Frankenstein accessory set, a Mummy accessory set, and so on. And hopefully we can get that into the line next year. We've got about, I think, 8 Universal Monster Ultimates done at this point. And we want to enhance them. And a lot of people say, oh, we're doing black and white of this one, black and white of that one. Maybe, but it, like, if we keep pumping out color and black and white simultaneously, it just slows down the process and us getting new ones out there, new characters out there that we've already sculpted and tooled and stuff. So Frankenstein, we did both in first to market agreement with Walmart for one of them for 30 days. But, you know, if people like the black and white, we'll certainly continue to offer them, but we're not going to always offer them at the same time. And we want to get more figures out there quicker. Yeah. And hopefully add stuff like the accessory sets into the line next year and really see it expand.
So then the color versions of them are going to be like the standard versions that we're going to see colors of all the different characters?
Yeah, at least initially. Now there are some things, like I don't know if the Mummy works great in black and white because he's very monotone to begin with. You know, we're going to experiment with it and see. We have done a Wolfman in black and white. Probably will happen. Not sure when just yet. But the color initially is the way. Unfortunately, there's amazing artwork for all these old posters, either from their original theatrical releases. In the case of Dracula and Frankenstein, that would be 1931. And then they put those movies back out in the 40s, and they had different art, but also just as beautiful. Like that those old lobby cards and that old one-sheet art is amazing. So fortunately, we can have different artwork on all the Ultimate boxes. You know, there's like a color one, which will be the original first theatrical release. And then when we do the black and whites, we'll do like a re-release version of the poster, which is what we did with Frank. And, you know, what we're looking at with some of the others. I can't give away too much, but let's just say, we're covering, like, I guess everyone has their top 4 or 6. Like, we're certainly covering those guys and then going much deeper. Like I said, we have about, I think, 8 are fully sculpted at this point and a couple more in the works. And at the same time, we're building out all the accessories and additional pieces and stuff. So
that's really awesome to hear, because like I said, I hope this is a property or properties that, you know, people support, because it's, to me, it feels very much in your wheelhouse to go absolutely nuts with this, and I can't wait. And Wolfman, he was probably my number one, but you know, that creature is awfully close right there behind him. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are, you know, at least with the support, looking to really get into it.
The Frankenstein did phenomenally right out the gate. People were
Good.
thrilled, and we're all fans. Like, I grew up watching these things on Saturdays and Sundays on TV, you know, as a little guy, and they're the best monsters. You know, we wouldn't have Freddy or Jason or any of that stuff without them. And we've always wanted to do it. And then one of the other challenges is they've been done a lot between, you know, your sideshows, diamonds, and everybody in between. So it's like, well, let's look at everything that has come before it and, you know, one up it or 10 up it in this case, and really just make it that much better and go for broke with detail. You know, portraits done by the amazing Trevor Grove, who's been doing all the Universal Monster portraits. We're doing all the 3D printed facial deco on them now, so you're not getting any of that wonky eye crap that used to go on at the factory level. Like the deco on faces is all pristine and perfect, as perfect as it can be every time. And there's a bunch of fans here, not just me. You know, Stefan, Anthony, John, like a bunch of the guys here are all Universal guys for sure. So it's the best like sandbox to be playing in for us, and we're definitely going to do a lot more.
You can always tell when the love is coming from, you know, those places in the end result. So I'm super excited about, you know, what's to come for this for sure. Well, speaking of monsters, and I was thinking about this the other day. Now, I'm excited for the Universal crew, and I love my turtles, but I was thinking about this because my very first, if I'm remembering this correctly, my very first NECA figure ever was the original Stripe and Gremlin and Gizmo release from way back in the day. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I have every single Gremlin that you guys have ever, Gremlins figure that you guys have ever put out. So to say I'm a fan, but also that I like have the most history with this line, I mean, it's up here, and you guys have been really good to the property. So I was really thrilled to see a few new reveals for that as well. And obviously Brain is probably the big one. And you guys went with soft goods this time to give him more of his getting ready to go out on the town look rather than his professor look, right?
Right. Well, yeah, you know, way back when we did it, I think it was 19 years ago or damn close, right? We weren't doing much with soft goods at all. And a lot of what we did at that point was very much in the mold of what McFarlane was doing at that time, because we had all kind of, a bunch of us had come from there and just kind of carried it over until we evolved and started doing things, you know, our own way and putting our own stamp on things with, you know, more articulation, you know, mixing in soft goods and stuff like that as time went on. So with Brain, I know there's been some debate about pants. We didn't do them with pants before, and in those scenes sometimes he has them on and sometimes he doesn't. But here's the thing, by doing soft good, if you want to take them off, if you want to pants him or de-pants him, whatever the vernacular is, you can do it. And there's a lot of promotional stills that exist from New Batch where he has them on, so it's like, let's do the pants this time. And because of the scale we do them in, and because they are puppets wearing clothes, it's easier to get away with soft goods and it looking good or good enough on an action figure of them that it has that same like charm, kind of, you know, look you want. And
absolutely,
you know, we're experimenting with some other future releases with clothes and stuff right now from New Batch. So they're surprisingly easy to dress and accessorize. I think we had shown a while back like the flash dance or break dance outfit on one of them, with the off the shoulder sweatshirt, warmers and stuff. So there are a bunch of things that we can do and want to do. With the flasher, we did the original one with the coat to sculpt it out, but then we have the soft goods one. So it's all kind of evolved and gotten better. The tailoring and the stitching and the ability to source you know, good materials. And the Brain is just probably a standout or fan favorite from that movie, and the Tony Randall voice and all the one-liners. Everyone wants Brain. We had not put Brain back out since probably 2004.
Yep.
So
he's right over there.
so now you'll get a new one that has, you know, more articulation, new clothing that's removable if you so desire, and some different accessories, which is fun. And then, of course, the long-awaited Demolition Pack, which we
this one's so fun, and you know, I know you teased it a little bit, but certainly not something that I had like on my top 5 of like possibles or probables from the second movie. So what was the thought putting this set together?
Well, it is in the spirit of that scene, or how zany that movie gets. It really is like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yep.
As the movie builds to the crescendo of craziness with New York and everything like that. So we wanted to, again, dress. We had the Type 2 body, which we hadn't really done anything with yet, which, so there's 2 main body and head types, like a fin in the back, and the sculpt of the face is different. We hadn't done that one yet. We had done Type 1 in the past when we had done the Brain, and we had done like Mohawk and I don't know, Lenny and
Daffy and George,
yeah, all that. So it was good to, now let's do some stuff with the Type 2. And the cool thing with Demolition is we have a Type 1 and a Type 2, and one's brown, one's green. And we're like, okay, let's look at what's in that scene. It's like there's dynamite, there's a big mallet, there's a dynamite plunger, there's like your old school circle bomb with the wick. You know, like there's the big can of, you know,
I love the little Grimm's helmet.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is it's just a blast. Yeah, it's a little Grimm's like hard hat.
Yeah,
it does say Little Grimm's even in the movie. Like, we didn't come up with that. They basically did a spoof off of Little Tykes. So
yeah,
it was cool. We did have a beer can, but beer wasn't getting approved, so I think it says Grem's, but it's in a very familiar font, shall we say.
Yeah.
You get the idea. And then, of course, as the plans, you know, their plans of blowing up landmarks around, you know, Manhattan and what have you. So it's a fun one to do. It could serve, you know, either as an army builder set or just a fun 2-pack with lots of crazy accessories to use with your other Gremlins. So that's really how that one came about. And we're looking at other ones, and we've shown some stuff over in teases and stuff in the past. The tattoo set is another one that makes years ago at either Toy Fair or Comic-Con. We had that WB shield.
It was at Comic-Con. I remember that.
So that's still out there, but it's like, okay, if you have a Gremlin that's now tatted up with the Warner Brothers logo, you got to have the tattoo artist. And that guy's like, you know, like a biker, right? He has like a priest leather cap on, and you know, some type of either leather or vest, and you know, the tattoo needle and stuff. So that would be another fun set. You know, aside from like the toy collectors and stuff, there's so many people, one, with tattoos, or we see a lot of toys in tattoo studios. So it would be so cool to see that come full circle and see, like, you know, a tattoo Gremlin set on display at tattoo studios all over the world.
Well, and that's something for part 2, right? Because I have a lot of the, you know, ultimate Gremlins and things to kind of customize them and just make them wacky, kind of how I would think they would be. And that's kind of the way movie 1 was. But movie 2 offers so many more like specific, even background characters with outfits and things like that I think are just kind of ripe for, you know, a set like a 2-pack, as you were talking, right?
Yeah, completely. You know, sometimes people complain about what we did with the 84, like, oh, it's the same Gremlin. It's like, dude, it's the same Gremlin in the movie. Like, we're watching the same thing. Like, they had, except for Stripe having the Mohawk, it was one puppet that they, you know, they made multiples of and then accessorized. And I think the ones we did, certainly like Flasher and Gamer and all that, were unique and different enough. But we felt like we had kind of made our statement with 84 in the ultimate format once we brought it back with the whole new sculpt and improved articulation system and everything. But we aren't completely finished with 84. So there's one more thing that's going to come out hopefully before the end of this year. We're showing a little bit of it in sprinkles here and there, and that's the Gremlins Accessory Set. And it's got some long-awaited items that have been seen either at trade shows or in photography before.
Ski masks or something like that.
So this set, I'll give you first the list of what should be in this set.
Oh man.
It is the Gremlins cocoon, the
Awesome.
big egg, which we've shown before and people have wanted for years. So it's the cocoon. It is the ski mask, but it will come on the head of a gremlin, because in the movie, those ears are gone or they're pinned back. So it is a head with the ears removed and the ski mask on. So that bandit gremlin.
Awesome.
It has a little race car, sports car for a little gizmo to ride in. And it comes with that little gizmo who can be placed in or out of the car.
Awesome.
It has the aforementioned, we'll have the sweatshirt and the leg warmer, so you can put those on any of your existing 84 Gremlins. You don't have to buy another one.
Yeah.
And there is another gizmo in there, which is a repack of the one that came in the Christmas set, because people really like that smaller Mogwai. So we have a sort of seated gizmo for riding the car, and then a separate little standing gizmo. So there's two gizmos: cocoon, ski mask, race car, and an aerobic. I think that's everything, but we'll be announcing it in full detail, full gallery, doing pre-orders and all that in the near future, along with Brain and the Demolition Pack.
That's awesome. That to me like gets all the big parts from part one done, because it seems like you, as you said, you guys are maybe putting a little more focus towards, you know, movie 2 now for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, totally. And we have a bunch work, you know, in the works there, exclusive for Comic-Con 2022 already from New Batch. So we're hard at work on that, and felt like it was time to go back to that. And like you said, they're also different. They, like Rick Baker and his team, you know, obviously a bigger budget, bigger crew, did a lot more in Gremlins 2 was crazy. And if you're going to do a sequel, of course, you have to make it bigger and better and crazier than what came before it. So, the Gremlins just have more personalities, more different Gremlins. So there's a lot we can do there. And
awesome.
You know, people like yourself, TJ, who, you know, is a fan and at this point a consultant on Gremlins, because he's like the Gremlin guy.
Yeah.
You know, he makes, hopefully, New York in February with another one of his masterful diorama creations. I mean, there's so many like passionate fans that love the brand, and it's because of that we're able to, you know, 18 years in, continue to make toys and make them better and make different ones. And you know, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be keeping those fingers crossed for a certain veggie out there, but I'm positive that I'm a mark. So I just can't wait to see what craziness that you guys come up with going forward. So that's really cool. Okay. Well, I want to jump back, because you know you guys have another relatively new line with the first figure that looks like it's getting ready to drop here pretty quickly, and that's Gargoyles. And I know people, myself included, are going crazy over this, but you pretty much showed Goliath looking ready to go. So I don't know, do you have an ETA on him yet right now?
Well, he has shipped. He has left the warehouse. He's packed out. I've got half a dozen package samples in the studio, so we're going to have to pick a few important partners like you guys to get those early samples. I think as long as nothing goes wrong port side when it reaches the dock, we should have him on shelves, God willing, end of August.
Awesome.
So it's only, I mean, we're all at the end of July at this point. So it's, I mean, the wait is almost over. And packaging turned out great. It's a beautiful, huge figure. We went all out and did our first ever, like, sort of commercial, stop motion.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was really cool to collaborate. We had watched a lot of the stuff that DM Galloway has been doing for years, and watching him improve and improve things. Man, we got to find the right thing to, you know, to start with him, and he delivered big time on that one. So I think we're going to do more with him, not just with Gargoyles, but the Demona tease in it was a great little, you know.
What made her right to be the next one up, right?
Yeah, she's the next one. You know, it's that sort of love interest thing and foil for him, and she's just so cool looking. You know, it's like. And I do feel like Gargoyles, you know, has a pretty strong female audience as well, which is great. Not all of the properties do, but it's nice to see. When we announced it, we saw a big outpouring of female fans as well that grew up with the cartoon. I I know that a lot of people are checking it out on Disney Plus, streaming there, and you know, I think it was a brand that was beloved but wasn't on the tip of anyone's tongue or on the immediate radar, and we surprised the hell out of everyone when we announced that figure. And fortunately, the response was far beyond, and I had high hopes, but it's far beyond what I expected. So in turn, we have sculpted a whole lot more and are continuing to do so. So Goliath is first, Demona is second, Thalog is third, and he's a deeper cut, but again, we want to space the line out, and also we have this issue of getting everything done, tooled, and manufactured on time. Thalog is quicker to do because it's new heads, new deco, and new accessories. We can reuse a lot of the Goliath on there, but we'd rather...
Yeah, he wasn't like right there at the top of the radar, but he makes perfect sense for the reasons that you mentioned, right?
Yeah, and it affords us more time for the Brooklyns, the Hudsons, the Bronx, the Lexington. Believe me, we're going to do them all, but we're also going to, you know, do the supporting characters as well. So of course the core team is there, but we're doing, you know, army builders, we're doing Xanatos. You got to have the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
So we're going deep. We're not showing everything at once because we also don't drop you know, 4 or 6 at a time. We drop 1 at a time.
Right.
Spaces it out. It's easier for everybody. And also with this line, I'm trying with all of my might to not have any exclusivity or any hoops for anyone to jump through. I just want it all to come out 1 at a time, equal footing, so anyone wants to collect it, so I don't get any of the backlash and the hate memes and the torches and pitchforks at my door.
It's the internet, man.
Yeah. So at least with so far, it's all on level ground, right? Everyone, every store, every place can get Goliath at once. It will be the same for Demona, and in turn, Thalog. And then I had mentioned, I think maybe in Twitter or on the live panel, we have 8 done.
Yeah, I've got 8 right here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the magic number, like Universal, but I think that's what we're at right now, plus a whole bunch more that are in development. But sculpting wise, that many are complete. Not all are painted, but I'm in the studio, so right outside my door, there's a whole queue of 5 waiting to be painted right now. So
wow.
In the coming weeks, we'll be finishing those up, and before Chinese New Year, because believe me, February isn't that far away. But
right.
By the time Toy Fair happens, and hopefully we will all be together in February in New York, we will have a massive New York, a lot of Gargoyles in it, and I'm looking forward to that for sure, because people will really see, you know, this line is growing in leaps and bounds, and is going to be like, you know, like a Ninja Turtles, or like some of our other bigger line, Alien, Predator, years ago, Pirates, Nightmare Before Christmas, the stuff that we've gone real deep on.
Yeah. Well, that's I can't wait, and I can't wait to be hopefully in the same space to see them and talk about them. But you mentioned Alien, so I wanted to touch on that. Had a couple of reveals for that, but it seems like you've got some more reveals planned, just not everything all at once, right?
There is, yeah. So the reveal we had during the panel is the AVP and sort of movie deco, movie color scheme. It serves a couple purposes. One is that we have a whole line of brand new figures, brand new sculpts, brand new tooling from the Alien universe, but based on approvals and release dates of content that it's tied to, we can't show them yet.
Okay.
So the AVP aliens were super cool when we put them out from the arcade. You know, Chrysalis, Razor Claws, why am I going to forget one of their names right now?
That's how it always happens.
Arachnid.
Arachnid, yeah.
Didn't take me long. The arcade deco isn't always for everyone, right? So there's some people that shun the pixelation and the cell shading, and they just want it to look like the movie. So it's like, okay, we can make something for those guys. They look different. They look like they exist in the movie verse now. And it buys us a little bit more time until we're allowed to show. There are 4 brand new aliens from the Alien universe that I'm thinking September-ish we'll be able to show those with you guys. And if you read between the lines and know, you can figure out what's happening. So,
Yeah.
And then besides that, we also have the Kenner homages, which are continuing. Mm-hmm. So we have shown Panther.
Yeah.
And Panther will be the next Kenner one. And obviously it would make sense to do the Cougar as well because they share tooling. So we'll do Cougar at some point too. So we are continuing with the Kenner homages and supporting some new Alien universe stuff. I just couldn't show it just yet. Very much like Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
I know there's a trailer out, but until we are permitted to show you what we're doing in the figure universe, you have to take my word for it. The figure's coming. It'll be out for the movie, but our hands are tied.
We get Dr. Loomis in this way for the first time ever. So that's a heck of a thing to have in between there, right?
Yeah, it's a good consolation prize. So we had planned that one for earlier in the year, but COVID. But at least it's happening. So Halloween 2 turns the original Halloween 2 turns 40 this year.
Yeah.
So we're like, what can we do to commemorate that? And we have been working with the estate of Donald Pleasance and his daughter. Has been fantastic to work with and collaborate with, and we had done the 8-inch cloth format last year. And we're like, there's a decent amount of the fans that don't want the cloth figures and they want the fully sculpted. And it's like we did a Halloween 1 Loomis 16 or 17 years ago. Not that articulated, more pre-posed. Trench coat was all sculpted in permanently, so we were like, let's do them from H2 and make them way better, fully articulated, alternate arms, so you can remove the coat and have him in his classic brown suit or in the trench coat. And then how do we prove Myers? So it was like, well, we did an ultimate H2 Myers. What can we do to make him better? Well, we did 2 new heads, which are also handled by Trench, which are amazing. And then we said, Loomis torches him. He blows up that OR and lights the Bic, and let's make flames that are attachable. And
those are really cool.
Yeah, it was fun, and it's like if you don't like it or think the flames are too much, we made the flames with sort of a negative of the figure, like recessed into the depression on the flame, so it kind of contours, and you snap him onto his body, and then you could backlight him and make him look like he's walking out of that hospital like engulfed in flames. It's cool, and it's like that climactic moment from the end of Halloween 2. And it was a really fun one to do that hadn't been done, and the Ultimate 2-packs are always cool. We love sourcing artwork and doing real cool cover art and just putting fun stuff in there. And there's a new skull pumpkin in there that we had only done with the clothed figures before that we So it's a really great set, and that'll be out later this fall too.
Well, awesome. You had one more horror one, and I wanted to talk about this because the likeness that was needed for this property is probably the biggest one in your horror set for me since you locked down all the Nostromo crew, and that's you guys have the Kurt Russell likeness now, and we are getting ready to see. I mean, the Outpost one, McReady is awesome, but I mean, this is Flamethrower McReady who's getting ready to drop. So this was a cool reveal for me as well.
Yeah, thank you. So this one we call Station Survival, which I don't know if that's made it into the listing and what have you. And people were asking also if it's exclusive. It's not an exclusive. It will be a first to market at Walmart, but just 30 days. And then it will be everywhere. The first McCready we did was Outpost 31, which was a Father's Day initiative at Target. So for the month of June, that was just at Target, but now that's available to everybody. Yep. And then Station Survival will be at Walmart for 30 days and then go wider the month after that. And so going through the movie, which we did painstakingly, making lists and figuring it out, like he gets a lot of gear. Like obviously everyone wants the flamethrower, but by the end of the movie, the guy's got duct tape and dynamite strapped to him and Molotov cocktails. Like he keeps adding more and more to fight, the things.
Yeah.
So we kind of figured a progression of how we wanted to do this. We have loved that movie since since it released. Honestly, another one that criminally underserved. There's really nothing. One other figure I think that was ever done, and many years ago, McFarlane did a couple of the monsters, but they were kind of underscaled and maybe combined or abbreviated a little bit differently than how they were on screen. You got the idea, like more of a vignette though, not.
Yeah, and it's very static too, right?
Exactly. So we are doing things and they will be part of the line next year for sure. But this new Station Survival version has the flamethrower. It has an attachable flame. It has the little sort of petri dish with the wire spool and the blood splattering out. Couple different portraits. I think an ice like pickaxe. A lot of accessories and different. So obviously, pick and choose what you like the best. If you're a hardcore fan, you're gonna buy them all.
Yeah.
But just so people know, they are very different from one another. And when you look at them side by side, it is not just a matter of like a repaint or a swap of the head, like accessorized, completely different, and everything kind of follows chronologically the progression and the journey he goes through, on screen. So I think it's safe to say we'll probably do another McCready by the time we have some things out there, but
awesome.
He's going to need to be armed to the teeth to take on everything that he encounters. And also he gets way frosty, if you will. Icicles in the beard and, snow covered on the boots and initially he's playing the video game and drinking his JB.
Right.
No, but as it goes on, it gets worse. So it's really a blast to be doing those. And finally, next year is the actual 40th anniversary of that movie, which is why we had some this year, but a bunch more next year, including creature sets and stuff like that. So if you're a Thing fan or a John Carpenter fan and a Kurt Russell fan, and who isn't, these are must-haves.
Well, and that's the thing. John Carpenter and Kurt Russell, I mean, they worked a lot together, so it's cool. Does that help facilitate things sometimes too when you have a relationship with a talent like that when it comes to other properties that you may be wanting to explore as well?
It can, if the relationship's directly with the talent itself. It varies because sometimes, I'll just give you an example, like in the case of Rocky, the Rocky films, MGM has Carl Weathers' likeness and rights for Apollo Creed. It's just how it is. But when we wanted to Carl Weathers to do Dylan from Predator, it wasn't so easy. So anyhow, it varies. It's always different. In the case of Kurt, he has approved likeness and sees everything. So while it goes to Universal, I think certainly people on the Universal Studio side look at it, but then it also goes. I don't know if Carpenter sees it, but in the case of like American Werewolf in London, which is another one we're doing, a big one that needed toys for all this time, also 40 years. Someone at John Landis's office is looking at that stuff too, and I believe it's being shared with Rick Baker too. I know I share it with him whenever we show anything new. I tag him in it, or to him on Instagram. We tag him on Twitter and Instagram. We want these guys to see, all the care and love that went into it, and how those movies 40 years later, being able to make toys of it and sort of commemorate and celebrate what they created back when practical effects were supreme, and still, in my mind, still are supreme.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Well, it's exciting stuff, and it just, I want to be respectful of time, but the last thing I want to ask you about is circling back around, because as we said, we're going to be talking a lot of Turtles with Trevor, but we're talking about the likeness things, and I wanted to bring up, because I don't think we've had a chance to talk about it. Just I was hoping if you could like share some insight, because it seems like the relationship and the experience overall with working with Judith Hoag, who is absolutely a gem, has been very different as far as that goes. Can you just talk a little bit about that? I mean, I know you guys didn't show off any new April figures and whatnot for this, but there was a new Casey figure that may have been, you know, kind of tied to that too. But how was that experience different than, you know, working with other people?
Well, you're right. She is a gem. She's amazing. Like, she is so warm and genuine and down to earth. And from the get-go, when we first spoke to her, genuinely interested in being part of this process.
Yeah.
She respects the craft and what goes into it. And I've dealt with a lot of talent and a lot of people for, you know, the 20 plus years I've been doing this. There's never been anyone that's been so engaged and authentically caring about this through every step of the way. She, from the start, wanted the name of each like who works on this, each department, each person, from photography to packaging to paint. She wanted their emails or their phones. She talked to them all personally. She spent a lot of time and effort to help do that April takeover with us a few months ago. And that honestly comes out of her being, you know, interested and invested in this and appreciating the fandom.
Yeah.
She knows, and she's had a great career and done a lot of other things, but she knows to so many people, she is like their April, or certainly their original April. And she like celebrates that and embraces it. And that's super cool, because she realizes how pivotal that is, whether it's like, you know, a boy who that was like his first crush or whatever, you know, seeing her on screen, or, you know, or just how she brought the character to life, you know, from 2D animation to live action. And she's amazing. And then everything you see from her YouTube or her interactions with us, like, that is her. I just spoke to her again on Friday. Like, we still talk. We're working on more things together. We talk and text often, and she is amazing. And we know a whole lot about each other and our lives on a personal level, and families and things like that, just because organically that happens as you work with someone and talk with someone. At this point now, it's close to a year and a half since we first started talking about April, you know, the April figure with Judith during COVID and during lockdown last year, when they were starting to put together the 30th anniversary, you know, panel thing that they did. So yeah, it's refreshing to have someone that's that interested, and she's an absolute sweetheart. And, you know, she probably would be embarrassed that I give her this additional praise, but since you brought up the Casey, she really was instrumental in helping that happen, because we had been in talks with Elias before, and with his people, and for whatever reason, he's not a toy collector,
right?
And I can't speculate, other than people sometimes find it off-putting. Like, they think it's having a little plastic replica or effigy of themselves is weird.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's 100% the reason. It certainly wasn't financially motivated or anything. I think he just thought it was kind of strange, you know. Main friends since they made the film together, and she did speak to him. I know she spoke to him on our behalf and on the behalf of the fans, to let them know, like, hey, I'm doing this. There's a lot of stuff out there like this, and it's treated with respect and care, and you know, the fans want it, and you know, maybe reconsider or look at it from a different point of view and stuff like that. I'm not sure what was spoken. That was a conversation between them, but I think she was instrumental in helping him turn that corner, and for that I'm eternally grateful, because it just makes the Casey figure that much better. Obviously, we wanted that likeness to be out there from the get-go,
It's the only version of Casey Jones that I would prefer him without the mask, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and you know, once there was a change of heart and we showed him everything, it was like, yeah, game on, let's do it, and that's cool, you know. And you know, for some people now, it's sort of become a, you know, an achievement, an iconic achievement to have your own action figure, and so many actors have embraced it. He's from a different generation, a different school, and you also have to remember, for people who get mad or don't understand, he's an actor, he's a thespian, he is an artist in his own right, and that's what he does. Like, if he doesn't want to be bothered with toys or thinks it's weird, that's his prerogative, and we have to respect it. But thankfully he did reconsider and is on board, and it gave us a chance to, let's bring Casey back, and let's retool some things. I was not a big fan of how the elbows came out on that initial one. It had a double elbow, but the way that joint was handled in production, it just reminds me of like a peanut in between, and I don't, unless it's fully bent, I don't like it when it's extended. So it's okay, let's retool the arms, let's you know, get his portrait out there, and let's also do a mask that he can hold or hang.
I love that little attention to detail. That's awesome.
So us too. So it's like, it's great to second chance and to do that, and to retool the elbows. You know, I'm a big fan of how some of these hinges are done on Hasbro figures, where the way it's cut in and the recess, you're getting 90 or sometimes even past 90 without it being double, but you're getting that full range of motion, and it's less obtrusive, and it's certainly tough anatomically. It's easier when there's clothes, a coat, wrinkles. Him, it's bare arms that are muscle tone, and it's like, you know, again, no one's perfect, and I'll be the first to admit I was not happy with how the first one came out. So it's a chance to make those elbows better, his head, and to put it in the ultimate. So we're not making you buy it in a 2-pack. You don't have to buy it Raph in disguise again, or a turtle, or another foot soldier. It's like, here, you can buy Ultimate Casey Jones. This is Elias Koteas as Casey, and we did some cool packaging with the mask, and that'll be out pretty soon, which is cool, because that 2-pack was very popular. And that was without likeness. So now you get it with likeness and better arms, better elbows, better articulation. It should be you know, equally, if not more popular than the first, and that isn't that far away. That one should be at Walmart just about a month, I think.
Oh man, I can't wait for that, and I can't wait to add April too. So it's very, very exciting. Everything. You guys had a heck of a showing. It was presented really, really well. As I said, the exclusive experience was so far beyond what I expected in that light, in terms of how availability was there. So it's very much appreciated, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your personal time to sit down and chat with us. If we can, I'd like to hit it more often, because I really enjoy these chats. But thank you so much, and thanks for everything that you had to show for the virtual SDCC 2021, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's always a pleasure, and like you said, we need to do it more frequently, maybe every quarter or something. Every 3 or 4 months we should touch base again. And speaking of, I want to let people know who are saying, oh, what about this, what about that, or what about these licenses you've teased or alluded to. What we showed, as impressive as it may be, basically covers from right now till October. It does not go beyond that. So we have a bunch of announcements coming in September, around the middle of September, I would say. And then we probably will have more in October or closer to Halloween that are more, say, horror or scary focused related for that time of year. So again, we're giving you just like pacing it out. We don't want too many nerdgasms, too many heads exploding. We got a nice little chunk of, say, 2.5 to 3 months worth of stuff that we showed you. But believe me, by mid-September, there's a bunch more. There's a few mind-blowing new licenses, like stuff that we haven't done before, some cases never been done before, and that when people see it, it's going to be like, NECA did it again kind of thing. So we should put something on the calendar for September, Nick, for sure. To do this again. And we'll do some kind of thing, I think, in October, like a virtual New York thing. I know New York is happening, but there's limitations and craziness. A lot of people aren't traveling. We're doing the same thing again, even though it's kind of in our backyard or a half hour away. We are not exhibiting there, but we will be sharing and debuting a whole lot of stuff.
Cool. Well, great. And I'll put that down for the calendar for September. And until then, I guess let the speculation begin. But I can't wait to have all of this new stuff in hand. So again, thank you very much. Thanks for the awesome showing, Randy. And I can't wait to chat with you again, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Fwoosh.
Thank you. Talk soon.